So today we're answering a question I know all of you have been wondering. Who is Bat-Hulk and where did he come from? We're going to answer all those questions and more by the end of this video, so enjoy that as we talk about The Brave and the Bold, number 68. So if you like Comic Island, be sure to subscribe to our channel and check out our Patreon page in the video description below. Now let's begin the story of Bat-Hulk and the proud return of random reviews. On a day like any other, Batman goes out on patrol. He is contacted by the Riddler, who is able to cut into the Batmobile's communication signal. The Riddler makes some cryptic threats before leaving a clue. Using these clues and his detective skills, Batman is able to find the Riddler committing a robbery at a diamond exchange. When the Riddler throws a diamond out of the window in response, Batman tries to catch it, only for the gem to explode. A similar encounter with the Penguin leaves Batman exposed to a strange dust, and again a little later, when the Joker is able to plant a strange gas in the Batmobile. The Caped Crusader is unable to stifle a horrifying laugh, as the substances begin to change Batman's body. Watch closely, dear viewers, for you are about to witness the birth of Bat-Hulk. Well, my friends, this is the story of The Brave and the Bold number 68, a 1966 comic by Bob Henley, Mike Sikowski, and Mike Esposito. We're reviewing this comic as part of my first video for our third round of random reviews, where I look at comics from a particular series or those that feature a particular character completely at random. This time around, we're talking all about the Joker, featuring comics from just about every type of comic this villain has ever appeared in. But we're doing a couple things different this time around. First, unlike our past runs of random reviews, I'm now doing these reviews in a truly random order, as opposed to before where I ordered the randomly selected comics by the date they were published. Second, this is going to be a bit of a more semi-ongoing thing rather than a consistent series that'll take up a chunk of our feed. So you'll probably be seeing these drop once a week or maybe every other week while I continue to make other content. That was always the original goal of these, I just kinda got too distracted by them in the original runs of random reviews. Now let's look at this particular comic, which I really love. It was made at the height of the Silver Age of comics, where the Comics Code Authority was in force, and a lot of these issues tend to read like any given episode of any given Saturday morning cartoon made over the past several decades. And while other comics, especially over at Marvel at the time, were busy finding a new identity for themselves and carving out a future for superhero fiction people at the time could only dream of. The Brave and the Bold was content with just having some fun with classic superhero team-ups that DC was really famous for in this time period. Even though it isn't, this comic reads like a classic Gardner Fox story. It's got all the creative energy and zeal of those early Justice League comics that Fox had pioneered. And yes, it is very much relevant that the actual Hulk was very much an already popular character at this point, who had been around since 1962, but that's all okay. The design of Bat-Hulk is fun and goofy, but memorable and reminds me of King Kong, and I enjoyed how the whole story basically hinged on the heroic behavior of Metamorpho and Metamorpho alone. I was really glad to see the Element Man in general in this comic. He gets overlooked a lot, but his ability to shape his body freely, while also transforming it into any substance at will, is cool overall. His personality doesn't get much of a chance to shine here. Indeed, it might not be developed at all at this point in comic book history, but all the fun potential of the character is clearly there. He was a fun and unconventional choice for a story, but with something as goofy as this, it works, and works well. As for the Joker, well, he isn't a huge part of this particular tale, no more than the Penguin or the Riddler, but I do have a lot of love for these stories where the Joker is working on schemes with a team of other villains. The supersized Bat-Hulk begins to rampage throughout Gotham City. Now simple-minded and aggressive, the police struggle against this mighty being, who is even able to create and hurl giant fireballs. Batman wanders off into a park, where he calms down and returns to normal. The Dark Knight stumbles onto the home of Professor Stagg, the world's richest man, who, with his family, is meeting with a hero called Metamorpho, the Element Man. Batman explains to him what happened and they agree to help. However, when they try to analyze the Caped Crusader's altered body, Batman begins to transform once more. Bat-Hulk is able to escape, stumbling onto the Joker, Riddler, and Penguin, and the four of them agree to start working together to rob a bank. Element Man is able to follow Bat-Hulk, and the two get into a battle. With some quick thinking, Metamorpho manages to dodge Bat-Hulk's attacks and lead the transformed hero to a television antennae, which Metamorpho is able to use as a lightning rod to turn Batman back to normal. The villains are rounded up by Jim Gordon, while Metamorpho emerges with an unconscious Batman. Though the villains are hopeful that the Caped Crusader has finally died, he quickly recovers, much to the relief of Gordon and the others. Batman thanks Metamorpho for his help, but the Element Man is quick to dismiss it as all the work of luck and a little bit of lightning. This comic, as simple and dated as it might be, I still find very entertaining. I like how this plot is resolved by a television antenna, an outdated piece of technology hardly even used anymore. I like how the Riddler has to jam the police signal and cut into Batman's communication system because the term hacking didn't exist in that sense yet. I like how the Joker managed to put a talking face on the Batmobile's gear shift with no real explanation or sense behind it at all. It's all just good, clean fun. Culture builds on itself in this regard. Stories and standards develop until over time the bar gets raised, but that doesn't diminish the value of comics like this. Rather, it's what I mean when I say you need to look at this comic with a historical lens. It's a trap I used to fall for a lot when I first started reading comics. I'd avoid the older stuff because I didn't like the art or the quality of the stories. I didn't see the older comics for what they are. But that's changed. I can appreciate the hand-drawn designs and the effort put into these stories and how they were made. I can better understand the nature of this story and why they were the norm for the Silver Age. And if you could do these things, then I recommend this comic. Absolutely, it's a lot of fun, and now you all know the story of Bat-Hulk. It's worth noting Bat-Hulk did actually show up as a multiversal Batman in the Brave and the Bold cartoon. I'm not sure if he will ever appear again, but hey, that's the fun about characters like Batman who have been around for decades. You never know. On the other hand, well, maybe he shouldn't come back. I don't know. Maybe this should just be left laid to rest. I'm not exactly 100% convinced that this character is all that valuable and not just a Hulk ripoff. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Personally though, I have to say, I was down for this. Regardless of what you guys might think of the story, this just worked for me. Batman inhaling some mystery dust and becoming this big monster that can throw fireballs is a pretty solid plot in and of itself. As far as I'm concerned, Warner Brothers is going to have a hell of a time coming up with a better story than that for their next live-action Batman solo movie. In fact, what are the odds it's going to be a lot more boring or generic than this story? That's the story of Bat-Hulk. It's very weird, I acknowledge that, but I quite liked it. What will come next in the Joker's random reviews? Well, I'll tell you guys one thing. A lot of these other comics do feature the Joker a bit more, to a degree. But by random chance, every single issue I pulled for the Joker is from a completely different series. So we won't be visiting The Brave and the Bold again, and we're only going to be visiting the main Batman series and Detective Comics once. You guys could literally be getting anything from any time period for this little mini-series we're doing, and I think that's pretty exciting. All I will tell you is that next up is the first solo issue for a particular character, and I'm pretty excited for it overall. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.